Hey guys, what's up? It's Conrad S54 here, and I'm going to bring another movie review for you guys today. Today I'm going to be doing my very long-awaited review. It's actually been over a month since I saw this. But yeah, today I'm going to be doing a movie review on Sausage Party. Now, I think it's actually just getting out of the theaters now. I know that like a few days ago, or like last week or something, it was still playing in one theater in my town, but it was only playing at like 10 o'clock at night. But yeah, I'm going to do a movie review on it. I really should have done this before. I actually had like another review for this movie completely filmed, but I felt like I judged it too harshly on one thing, and I decided to redo my review. So anyway, let's get started. Now, the movie's directed by Greg Tiernan and Conrad Vernon, one of which, I forget which one, was involved in a lot of the Shrek films, and I think was also, like, got his start, like, he used to, do, like, a lot of Thomas the Tank Engine stuff, so this is a pretty big step up for him. But anyway, it's directed by Greg Tiernan and Conrad Vernon, and stars Seth Rogen as Frank, Kristen Wiig as Brenda, Jonah Hill as Carl, Michael Cera as Barry, and George Lopez as Lavash. I know Edward Norton's in this, and he plays the bagel, but I forget what his name is, what his character's name is. Now, essentially, the plot of Sausage Party is it takes place in a grocery store, and all the food, they think that human beings are gods, and that once you're chosen to be put in that cart, you're taken to a magical place called the Great Beyond, which basically is just the outside of the store and back home, and that if you get chosen, you just, like, they just take you back home, and they think that life is just awesome once you've been chosen. And it's the 4th of July barbecue week. Like, the 4th of July barbecue weekend, so, like, the buns and the hot dogs are really, like, they really are excited, and they're really hoping they get picked. And then they do get picked, but before they do, a, container of honey mustard, played by Danny McBride, he warns them, saying that the Great Beyond is all bullshit, and that it's not real, and that it's not what they think, and then, you know, the food finally learns the truth about what happens, and then, but basically, the trailer makes it out to something it's not, because you would think that the food's already been bought, and then they go back to warn their friends that the Great Beyond's all crap. Well, no, the movie actually takes place a lot more in the grocery store than it does in the house. And that's pretty sad. But, is this a bad movie? No! Far from it. It's just, it wasn't Seth Rogen's amazing work that I've seen in some of his other films, but don't get me wrong, this is a pretty funny movie. And apparently Seth Rogen actually has plans to do a sequel, and he plans to do more R-rated animated films in the future. And also a fun fact, actually, I can't get into this fun fact without spoiling it, so after I do grade the movie, which will be in a few minutes, don't worry, the review's not going to be that short. After I grade the review in a few minutes, I'll get into the one thing that I kind of didn't like about the movie the first time I saw it, and I'll give you guys a fun fact about that scene. But basically, guys, like, if you're wondering, am I gonna like this movie? Because I know it got like an 82% by critics and got like 57% by audiences. One thing that was funny was I think it was like FaZe Apex put on his Twitter, Sausage Party was one of the worst movies ever, and Seth Rogen actually liked his tweet, and also something that's really cool. So, I live in British Columbia, Canada, and there's this grocery store on an island. I'm not going to say the name or the location of the island, but apparently Seth Rogen actually went through somebody's till at this grocery store in British Columbia, which kind of makes sense because, you know, Seth Rogen's from Vancouver. But I just thought that was so cool because apparently it's one of my mom's friends, one of her friends, who Seth Rogen went through her till, and she actually got a picture with him, which I thought was really cool. But anyway, back to the movie. If you're a Seth Rogen fan, you're gonna find stuff to enjoy in this movie. But if you don't really... if you're not like a really big fan of his movies and you think his humor is just for guys, which basically means pretty much every mom out there, just know that, like, this movie is for Seth Rogen fans only. Because if you're a fan of Seth Rogen's, you're definitely going to find stuff to enjoy in this movie. I personally really liked it. I harshly judged it on one thing in my first review, but honestly, the scene that I'm going to be talking about in a sec is a lot worse the second time. I mean, the second time. It's a lot worse the first time you see it. Also, one thing that I should mention before I grade it, they had these signs at the front of the theater on the ticket machines that said, Sausage Party is rated 18A. You must be 18 years or older with ID or be accompanied by a responsible adult for the entire length of the film, by a responsible adult who is age 19 years or older with ID. And I went with my mom to see this in the theater. Worst decision I have ever made, and you're going to see why after I grade it. But, yeah, basically, me and my mom just got our tickets online and went, and the guy didn't say anything. He's just like, okay, Sausage Party in Theater 2 to your left. And, one other thing, me and my mom were the only people in the theater when we saw this. But then again, I can kind of see why, because we saw it on a Wednesday, and every Tuesday at my local movie theater, the admission is half off, so I can see why, but... yeah, so me and my mom were the only people in the theater, so it was pretty nice, like, not hearing, like, probably, like, all those prepubescent 12-year-olds ruining it. But anyway, guys, bottom line is, if you're a Seth Rogen fan, you're gonna find stuff to enjoy in this movie. Just expect a lot of vulgarity and a lot of swearing. And something really messed up near the end, which I'm gonna get into right after this. But guys, I'm gonna give Sausage Party a B. I originally gave it a B- in my other review, but that's because I judged it way too harshly on the scene that I'm about to get into. And if you've seen the movie, you all know what scene I'm going to be talking about. The ending scene. Holy shit. I thought I had seen it all. I've seen the Green Inferno. I've seen the Human Centipede. I've seen the Human Centipede 2. I've seen Ratatouille. I've lived through all of those. But this scene just, oh my god. Basically, guys, so basically, if you haven't figured out, this is kind of a spoiler. Pretty much the end is one gigantic food orgy. And I was like, how bad can it be? Oh my god. Try watching that with your mom in the theater and have you being the only two people in the theater, because that was the experience for me. I'm sorry if I'm sounding a bit angry, but just know that it's pretty damn awkward. And after that scene was over, my mom whispers to me, why do they gotta ruin it with that? And at first I was laughing, then I'm looking back and I'm going, what the hell? And then I ended up seeing that scene again, and I'm like, it's honestly a lot worse the first time you see it. But yeah, and I was looking at it, I was watching an interview with Seth Rogen in this one, like, radio podcast show or something. And he said that the first cut of Sausage Party ended up receiving an NC-17 rating from the MPAA. And he said that they added, like, 6 things into the orgy scene, where they're like, you know, these are our sacrificial lambs, like, you know, these are the chips we need to lose, if we need to lose any. So they added, like, 6 things in there, and the MPAA only requested, like, an 1/8 of one of them to be removed, according to him, because the only real nudity in the ending scene is there's a piece of pita bread, played by George Lopez, who has a scrotum, and apparently the scrotum originally had hair on it. And the MPAA just requested that they remove the hair. in order for it to not get an NC-17 rating and to get an R rating. I just found that that was pretty funny, and the thing is, apparently the original version of this scene was 8 minutes long, but they had to shorten it to be consumable. Why couldn't you have told that to the director of Blue is the Warmest Color? Because I'm sure, although it was pretty enjoyable, not gonna lie, but you don't need a 10-minute sex scene in that movie. But yeah, anyway guys, that's pretty much all I gotta say for the review. Again, if you are a fan of Seth Rogen's, you're gonna find stuff to enjoy in this movie. But anyway guys, hope you guys enjoyed that review. Subscribe for more content, and remember you guys, whenever believing in the great beyond, say no to drugs.